Essay number 32, The Ebenezers. How can you seek God if He's already here? It's like standing in the ocean and crying out, I want to get wet. You want to get over the line to God. It turns out He was always there. Deepak Chopra. When you leave a meaningful experience, or you're changed, or you see a new side of life that you weren't aware of before, it's only appropriate that you take from it an Ebenezer, a sign that God was there in your midst. We met Mike and Kathy, a couple older than we were, but also experiencing their first conference with International Justice Mission. We became instant friends, and over that short weekend we became as close as children and their parents. A few years later, they visited us when I was full-bellied pregnant, and we ate pizza and talked about the mystery of God that pulls people to each other and deeper into a goodness that cannot be fully understood. I went to visit Kathy and Mike one weekend in September, right before my birthday and right before the fall equinox. In Minnesota, the air was already turning crisp and people were wearing their fall layers, preparing themselves for the coming northern winter. We attended a conference that weekend called Why Christian?, the first of its kind. We heard women speak about the church, about the Jesus they knew who bled with the brokenhearted and used spit and dirt to heal. He was the Jesus who used anyone and everyone to love, to be the church, to give life to the weary. And I realized that weekend that he was also the type of guy who might grab a rock or two as an Ebenezer, just like Kathy does. He's one who remembers, who counts the sacredness of human experience as something to be honored. When we came back to the house from the conference, I found a pile of Ebenezers on a table right by the back porch. You only know if you stoop down and look closely that the rocks are from all over the world, her Ebenezers. I ran my fingers over the names marked on each one, places she's visited, spaces in which she has experienced and known God. London, Honduras, California, Greece, New Zealand. The places are written in permanent marker on the faces of the stones. They are forever reminders of experiences, of people and places, stories of glory. 3 days later, I was on a plane headed back to Georgia. The cool air was evaporating with every lift and altitude, and I knew it. I knew I needed something to hold on to, something to remind me, some piece of that holy experience. But I'd forgotten to grab a Minnesota rock. I'd forgotten before the plane was up in the air and I was untethered. What I had was a plane ticket home and a voucher for a free drink. I ordered a Heineken, sat back with my journal and pen, and remembered. I looked at that can, the tiny tower of aluminum that reminded me of who I was just 3 days before the trip, and who I'd suddenly become. A few days earlier, I'd never flown by myself before. A few days earlier, I'd never gone on a trip alone with the expectation of meeting God in a new way. Now I was seeing something new in myself. I was seeing that maybe God was doing something new inside of me, another side of mystery that I hadn't seen before. I knew things were different because before that moment, I would never have considered buying a Heineken on a plane without a full dinner first. Instead, I had a pack of peanuts and trusted the voice of God to lead me into something new, even though I didn't understand it. I sat back and took a lot of deep breaths and marked the air in which I was flying with my own reminder, my own Ebenezer. Here in this space I have seen and known God. The prayer. Jesus, I want to know you, and I want to remember knowing you. If I can take pieces of my life and forge them into bits of remembering, things will stick. Your presence will become more real to me every day of my life, and every experience will be both mine and yours. Teach me the art of tethering. Hallelujah and Amen.